Good kill, good kill. Hey, good kill.
On the 7th of January 1981, Iranian ground control intercept picked up an unidentified contact entering Iranian airspace from the direction of Iraq. This contact was quickly identified as hostile as Iranian ground control intercept confirmed no Iranian aircraft were in that area or returning from any attacks into Iraq. Therefore, there was a high degree of confidence this was an Iraqi fighter aircraft, possibly on a strike or probing mission. During this early phase of the war, Iran was using the F-14 Tomcat to devastating effect to lock down its airspace against Iraqi fighters. A single aircraft often flew tens of hours refueling in the air when needed or switching shifts with other F-14s to ensure there was almost always an F-14 in the air to deter Iraqi strike aircraft from bombing targets within Iran. On the morning of the 7th of January in 1981, that F-14 Tomcat on combat air patrol in that sector of Iranian airspace was flown by Captain Asad Adeli and Lieutenant Mohammad Masbouk as his radar intercept officer. The call from the Iranian ground control intercept came over the radio and immediately vectored the F-14 Tomcat to intercept the Iraqi radar contact. As they climbed, they activated their AUG-9 radar system. As they got closer, they broke out 3 targets in an extremely tight formation. This was not uncommon for Iraqi aircraft at that time, who would fly very tight formations to appear as a single contact to Iranian ground control intercept, in hopes of not becoming priority targets for F-14s to be vectored on. This is initially what occurred, but based on the speed and vector of the single radar contact, Iranian ground control intercept deduced the possible target was Iranian oil assets, and therefore they became priority targets for an F-14 intercept. The Iraqi Mig-23s were in a fingertip formation about 2,000 feet off the ground when the decision was made to simply launch on the flight leader, which was the middle aircraft, and figure out what to do with the rest of them if they survived after. A single Aim-54 Phoenix missile was unleashed from the Tomcat and ripped towards the target. The Aim-54 was one of the fastest, most powerful missiles of its time. Its warhead of 132 pounds of high explosive fragmentation was intended to blow apart bombers, and its speed, capable of Mach 5 under certain conditions, is impressive even by today's standards. As the missile soared towards its target, the MiGs did not react. Many theories have been put out as to why this was, but the most credible appears to be that the missile came down in the RWR blind spot above the MiGs, where the primitive export variant Russian RWRs were unable to pick up the threat. The Aim-54 was famous for climbing to high altitudes and dropping down on the target's head, often killing Iraqi fighters unaware. A massive explosion occurred as the missile impacted the flight leader. The blast wave, shrapnel, and overpressure ripped apart the aircraft. Its wings torn, fuselage disintegrated, instrumentation destroyed, debris scattered outward. But the explosion's power did not stop there. The 2 wingmen flying just a few meters away were caught in the deadly blast. They too suffered catastrophic damage as they were torn apart by shrapnel, overpressure, and other debris. It's believed that all 3 pilots were killed either by the explosion itself, the debris shredding their aircraft, or impact with the ground, considering they were flying fairly low altitude at the time of impact, and may not have had time to eject. Having scored a successful kill, Adeli turned his Tomcat away from the engagement point, scanning to ensure no additional threats remained. The cockpit radio came to life as Iranian ground control intercept confirmed radar contacts faded and airspace clear. It's claimed that initially Adeli and Masbouk were only credited with 1 kill as the feat seemed too audacious to be true. However, Iranian Combat Search and Rescue identified the remains of the MiG-23s in a spread pattern consistent with a central explosion and outward fragmentation. 6 sets of wings and wing fragments and multiple other sets of parts were also said to have been identified at the crash site, confirming 3 aircraft were indeed shot down. A few days later, upon confirmation of these facts, their single kill on a MiG-23 was upgraded to the now famous triple kill. The news spread through the Iranian Air Force Command. Adeli and Masbouk had achieved something extraordinary. Adeli and Masbouk became legends, an F-14 crew who used the full destructive potential of the Phoenix missile in the most audacious way possible. They would go on to score a total of 5 air-to-air kills in the F-14 Tomcat throughout the war, giving them the title of Ace. They would be added to the long list of Iranian F-14 aces, who in total scored 150 to 160 confirmed kills against Iraqi fighters for the loss of only 3 Tomcats.